everything's coming up greener.
Here's Harold Matthews. He is
the Garden Doctor. The Garden Doctor.
Hello, we're going to give this microphone a shot here in the winds of New England. We are in New Hampshire. Behind me you can see the fall colors and blustery conditions that we're facing. Right at the base of the camera there's some frost. Now, I want to welcome you to the Garden Doctor Show, and we're going to have some guests sitting in the chair. There's Susan and Christopher, and one you've seen before and the other one you probably know. So I want to welcome them to the show and thank them for doing this for us. There's a few differences between New England, my home state of New Hampshire, and Indiana, my current state of residence, and that is the mountains, particularly high elevations, snow-capped on Mount Washington, but primarily the differences are, a neighbor just went by, we have to wave. Everybody in New Hampshire has to wave, but everybody in Indiana and Connersville has to wave too. So it's not that much different. We have a lot more evergreen up here than they do in Indiana, and so we have a lot more acidity in the soil. So up here we can grow blueberries, rhododendron, azaleas, things quite naturally without having to put modifications on. We're down in Indiana, it's much more alkali, and we can grow things down there that can't be grown up here. You have to know the differences of your climates and the differences of the soils and what is in the soil before you try to grow things. I'm not sure why anybody would ever try to grow blueberries in Indiana. It's really quite a bit of work, but up here it's very, very natural. Now, we just planted some blueberries that came from Indiana here in on my wife's family farm here. So, and we're hoping that they result because we got some beautiful high bush that grow here naturally. I want to thank you very much for watching The Garden Doctor, and hello to everybody from the great state of New Hampshire.
Good evening. Welcome to the Garden Doctor Show. I am Chris Matthews, son of the Garden Doctor. You might remember me from last year. About this time last year, we sent my dad on vacation, locked the door. We did whatever we wanted. Me and my younger brother did hunter safety. This year it's my year. I'm taking over a little bit more. I'm wanting to do more health, food-oriented subjects. So I sent my dad out, and it's my turn. With me today, I have a very special guest. My father actually met her in the health department of Kroger, which is expanding quite a bit. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Suzanne Kelly, and we did meet at Kroger, which is my favorite place. Mm-hmm. And I am not used to talking to a camera, so everybody please forgive me out there because it's not real people.
I think she's doing great already. Yeah. We want to tell my dad thank you. It's nice seeing him from New Hampshire again. It's nice seeing everybody up there. Can't wait to get back up there. To kind of start the show off today, what we're wanting to talk about is health and food. I know a lot of people might be thinking, like, they tuned in for the Garden Doctor Show. Just don't tune out yet, okay? This is going to be very important. Maybe not for you, maybe somebody that you know, maybe down the line later on you have a question or a problem, or you're just wondering, what could I do to better myself, maybe for health reasons or food. So we're going to go over a lot of basic information today. Really like to start with processed foods. I think that's where everybody kind of gets stuck at. It involves fast food, boxed food, anything that you're going to buy that's been already processed by humans, that has added chemicals, added preservatives and everything to it. A lot of what's in there is not able to be broken down by our system. It's not able to be used as far as nutrients go for anything that we might need. And it's really hard for our systems. I know you have a lot to deal with that as well, don't you?
Absolutely. Basically, it's kind of like putting diesel in an unleaded gas engine. So your body doesn't know how to use it. It can't break it down, so it can't use it as nutrients. So what usually happens is your body stores it as fat.
Right, and then the levels of sugars and the salts and everything that are also in there. If you've ever turned it over and you've looked at the back and you get maybe about halfway down there, you start noticing that you can't pronounce the products that they're using to preserve your food or the things that you might be ingesting. And that's where Suzanne's talking about. And those chemicals aren't processed by your system, and they're pulled out into your fat cells, and they just kind of sit there. So if you ever go to drink like a lot of water, or you start like flushing out your system, then you get a rush of all these chemicals that have been building up in your system. So what this all kind of leads up to is the relationship that we have with our food today. You might think like a quick, easier meal is better for you as far as your time-wise or your schedule goes, and it might fit in there, but that doesn't mean that you have to distance yourself from a whole food, a raw potato and pepper and onions. There's different aspects for it. I'm a vegan, so I have a whole different outlook, and I know Susan has a whole different outlook. Suzanne has a whole different outlook. I knew I was going to do it.
It's all right.
On food and our relationship. So that's why together we're hoping to put out a really cohesive thought here on it. I know you were telling me about was it your grandmother?
Yeah, my mother-in-law.
Oh, your mother-in-law.
Yes, my mother-in-law. Right. Basically, we were talking about organic foods, and she didn't really know much about them. And this was a couple years back, and I encouraged her to try some. Just try incorporating more organic foods into your diet to see how you feel. A lot of people feel tired all the time. So she had told me with some excitement that she tried an organic potato. And she was like, Suzanne, it was like the potatoes that I remember when I was little. They taste different. They tasted just like when I was a little girl. And I said, that makes sense. You know, you don't have all the extra chemicals that are on there that totally diminish the flavor of your food. And she remembered what real food, what we call organic now, tastes like.
It's funny because I get into that too. I've heard that a lot, where people think that organic is something that's coming up or something that's completely different. And really it's just getting back to that food that our grandparents and great-grandparents grew up on. When I always hear the story, my grandfather ate bacon and smoked cigarettes and
Right.
he did this until he was 95 and he
Right.
lived. Well, that's where we're trying to get back to as well. Like, if that is your choice and that's what you're eating, then it would be better for you to have it naturally and to get it from the source, to know what's put into that. So, that way you know what you're putting into your body. It gets played down a whole lot about what actually is bad for you and all this, and it gets just kind of thrown to the wayside because everybody's in such a hurry. But this really is important. And I know for people that may not know, we say organic, and then other people think something, magical or something that's different or something that's not normal. But you want to explain maybe more about organic or what it is compared to just basic non-organic food?
Well, basically, organic food is food that has not been grown with artificial fertilizers or pesticides. So it's non-spray. Usually the soil is much healthier because those sprays and chemicals deplete the soils from the nutrients that they used to have. I'm trying to think of anything else.
Oh, no, you're fine. Actually, there's a lot to add to this on my side of it, too. I know since all this has come in, everybody gets on this fast pace, and we think that we need to mass produce all this food. And again, that just leads down to people not having a relationship with their food, not understanding that they can make all these things that they're buying in the stores for themselves. Me and my wife, we are extremely busy at most times, so we would have a Sunday where we would get together. I'd watch football and cook at the same time. We would make rice. We'd go ahead and make like stew base or like a soup base, and we'd chop up a bunch of vegetables, get ready for the week. So as we were busy and we needed something quicker, we could just go to the freezer or the refrigerator and prepare a quick, healthier meal. So it does take a little bit of preparation and everything, but again, it's your health. And that's what we're here to promote. I want to see people having a relationship with whole foods, and by that I mean foods that came naturally from the ground, from the tree, from the vine, just the way they were meant to be. And then from there we take it and do something with it. Now, organics, GMOs, those are different things, not to be confused with each other. They are related. It's still nothing that we would want in our system, but GMOs is genetically modified organisms. So instead of you taking a nice seed and planting the seed and then letting that grow, the seed is manufactured and altered in certain ways to resist certain things. And I know now with Monsanto's, a lot of their GMOs, they're having weeds pop up that are GMO and pesticide resistant, Roundup resistant.
Super weeds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the same thing happens inside of our bodies.
Right.
You know, we get all these GMOs and all these latent chemicals in there, let alone the pesticides that are put on it after, you know, it's supposed to be a perfect seed and produce. And I think the big myth that I've run into a lot talking to farmers actually is that they don't produce more. They're
Right.
just more resistant to natural things, so people
Correct.
don't have to tend to them, so you can have giant fields of corn.
Right.
Right.
Monocrops.
Right, exactly, right?
Isn't great for the soil either.
Now, you had a really good explanation. We were talking earlier, and this is something I never even like put together, and it really kind of caught me. You were telling me about dyes and flowers.
Right. Well, basically, when I try to explain when people say, well, can I just wash it really good? I wash all my vegetables really good, or I peel them. And I said, yeah, that can help. If that's all you can do, then that's the best you can do. But if you take a carnation, and you know how they make them very colorful, they'll put them in blue food coloring or red food coloring, and then wow, automatically the carnation has this beautiful color. Well, it's the same thing with the pesticides and the chemicals. If it's in the soil, the plant absorbs that, just like with the food coloring. So it's in the life of the plant, and you can't wash that off.
Now, I understand when we get into like pesticides and just things that are put on after the seed has been growing, I know a lot of people tell me that washing it does take that off without it being GMO'd. But again, when she told me that, it made me stop for a minute and really think about that. If it does that with food coloring, you can imagine what a chemical would do. And like, you can think about a lot of fruits and vegetables, there's a lot of water in there.
Right.
You know, an apple is actually pretty juicy, it has a lot of water. An orange is the same. Even peppers all the way up, you know, cucumbers and everything.
Well, just like our skin, you know, we put the lotion on, it just absorbs right into the skin. It's the same.
And then once it's in, it doesn't wash off and
Right.
it doesn't get rid of it,
Anything
right?
that's alive, you
Right.
know, exactly.
Now, a lot of the health issues, I feel, this is a personal opinion of mine, it goes right back to the processed foods. And my goal today is hopefully to, you know, like I said, awaken some people on this processed thing and maybe get them back to eating a little more whole food. But a lot of the things that have to do with the processed foods, you can see becoming like really rampant in our society. The high sugars,
Right.
the high salts and everything, and that leads to a lot of disease and a lot of health issues. And the big thing that comes to my mind when I've talked to people about this is they always talk about how expensive it is. And I can understand that when people go from a processed box to an organic processed box with organic foods in it.
Right.
Going from process to process, you're only going to be adding more money, yes, because it's better ingredients. It's getting that relationship with the whole foods again that
Right.
we really need to get back to.
And you can even lower your grocery bill by taking some of those things that are in boxes that are actually more expensive in the long run, and just having, instead of the boxed cheeseburger, I mean, you can go and get your own meat and make your own cheeseburgers with it. It's just 10 times more expensive to have pizza in a box than
Yes.
just to make it yourself.
To make some dough, make some crust real quick, and lay
Right.
out some sauce. I know we can actually do that really cheap at my house. We don't put cheese on anything, so I guess that
Right.
cuts down my costs, and I don't eat meat. So that cuts down my costs as far as the higher priced goods
Right.
out there. I think
Right.
that helps me stay under budget. But I have 2 daughters. They're younger, but I think you have 3.
3 children.
Boys?
No.
No?
One. The oldest son is Adam. He's 11, and Grace is 7, and Francis is 3. So I have 3.
So do you stay on a food budget? Do you have like a set food
I
budget?
don't have a set food budget, but I seem to buy very similar types of things at the grocery store every time I go. So I stay within that range, and I always buy the things that are on sale, the things that are in season. That really helps with price, and shop the perimeter of the grocery store.
That's
You'll
where all
hardly
that live-
ever see me in the middle. So
And you said earlier, Kroger
yes,
here in town?
yes,
Right. Okay, that's actually where I shop most of mine, their organic section. From what I understand, Suzanne told me that she's been here in town for a while and that she has been on them for a while. And I know when I moved or came back into town, I got on them too, and I was like, man, I need this and I need that. And I've really seen a lot of their organics like really develop. When you walk in the store, you just keep walking. Don't stop at the bread, the donuts, or the deli counter. I know. Just keep on walking around, and you'll see where the flowers, the carnations are. And like she said, you stay on the outside. And on that outside is where all the organics are, all the maybe gluten-free if you have gluten allergies or something
right.
like that.
It's all in that little
Right.
section right there on that wall, and then within the produce as well.
Now, I've also go to Oxford. I'm not trying to put names and put promotions out for people, but I've been to Oxford's Kroger as well. They have a little bit better variety of organics if you're looking for some maybe harder to find things. And then right next to that is a small place called the Moon Co-op. And they specialize in healthy organic places, and it's all local. They support local farmers. They support anybody that wants to come in. You can buy a portion of the store. You can be a member of it. You can get a crop share. Actually, you were telling me about a crop share that you did earlier this year.
Exactly. Eli Creek Farms here in Connorsville. We actually have a huge organic farm here in Connorsville, and they source out lots of things to high-end stores, and we have it right here in Fayette County. So they do CSA shares for the year, and right now they actually have lots of things that you can just buy that are in season. They raise rabbit and chicken and all kinds of different things.
When you said CSA, some people may not know about your CSA.
Yeah, CSA is basically community shared agriculture, and that means you pay a certain amount at the beginning of the season and you get a box every week. So it's all fresh, all just picked, everything that's in season. So the nutrients are right there. It didn't have to travel far. It didn't have to go in any truck and sit on a highway. It just came right from their farm to your table, and it's amazing.
So the farm that you're talking about, do you actually buy your organic meat from there, or any of it, or do you?
Yeah, I have before.
Yeah.
They have lots of different types of meat. I like to buy chicken bones and stuff to make soup and broth with. And they actually have rabbit, which I know a lot of people might not be into, but it's a very nutritious meat, and it's cheaper as far as the fresh cuts of meat that you can get that are organic.
Do you know of any other farms around here, or is there any other place that you shop for organic meats other than if they're out?
I get my eggs from Leslie Jacobson. She has Bridgeford and Farm. She makes raw cheeses, which is another amazing thing that we have here in Connorsville. All this local artisan food, and she gives me my eggs quite often.
Yeah?
Yeah, they're amazing.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now see, that's the two differences. Again, it's really cool actually being up here and having two different viewpoints. I abstain from anything that has to do with an animal, and milk, meat, cheeses, dairy, and all that. And Suzanne obviously is on a different side of that, and she is just as healthy and doing exactly what she feels is best for her family and her system. And everybody is completely healthy. The whole thing with all this is that it's all a choice, and that what resonates with you, what feels good to you, that's the path that you should take. Nobody wants to be preaching up here to change and convert anybody. This is all information-based. So we welcome any callers. We welcome anybody with an opinion about anything, or maybe questions later on. You can feel free to hit us up on the website at tv3.com, and we can always take questions on there if anybody has anything later on.
We just basically want everyone to eat real food.
Right. Right, and I think the number is at the bottom of the screen. If not, you can harass the people at TV3. They'll put it up there. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, you can definitely call in at any point in time. Like I said, don't feel like this is just a tonight thing. So, is there anything you'd like to add before we continue on about?
I just wanted to say, because before you had said that you were vegan, I am mostly paleo. So what that means is I don't eat grains for the most part. It's a little hard for me to digest, so I stick with a more Paleolithic type diet.
You got it out.
Which
Good.
is meats, fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, anything that the hunters and gatherers used to eat. And I do eat grains from time to time. It's not that anything is off limits. I just eat real food. But there's different ways of preparing those that better suit my system, like soaking the grains to get rid of the phytic acid and things like that.
And this, on my aspect of soaking grains and everything,
Right.
I like to have my grains, or like when I get raw nuts or seeds, I like to soak them and then have them sprout. So as they sprout, I know that they haven't been killed off by pesticides. Even though it says organic, it's just like a thing for me, I think about the seed and it growing out of water, and it's alive, and it has energy to it, and it's doing things. It's not dead. It's not being preserved for 10 years, with chemicals. it's alive and it's moving, it has that energy, and then I consume it as it's sprouting, and I obtain that energy from that seed or that bean, and I feel better about
Right.
it. Yeah, I really do. I feel more
Well,
alive.
and not to mention they all have enzymes. I mean, this is like, it's a science. It's not really just something that we feel. All of these plants have what we call enzymes, and they're very good for cleaning out our systems of bad things. So the more live, raw food that you can eat, the better. And you can start that out slowly and just keep increasing as much as you can until you'll start to feel more energy, start to feel better, especially with those juices, because you don't have to waste time digesting those. They just go straight to your system.
That's my biggest thing. Everything to
Right.
me is my biggest thing. I'm really passionate about. But the whole breakdown of protein in meat was a big thing for me when I
Right.
started getting rid of meat and realizing that it was amino acids that I really wanted.
Right.
And not like big blocks of like hard protein to break down. So like juicing, I did a lot of juicing.
Yes.
I did a lot of
Juicing's amazing.
Magic Bullet like smoothies, you
Yeah.
know, so that way I didn't lose stuff.
NutriBullet, I got that
yeah,
too. Yeah.
exactly. Thank you. And
It's the cheap Vitamix.
yeah, exactly. It really is, but it's great in the morning.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But,
better than coffee.
But to have that, see, I just lost my train of thought because we were talking
Sorry.
about juicing and everything. No, I'm just joking. But it was absorbed easier. All the vitamins and the minerals, the proteins that I was trying to get, they were all absorbed easier. So I didn't spend a lot of energy breaking down like heavy, big meals to get what nutrients and vitamins I wanted. I would continue to move, feel full, feel satisfied, and then power right on through the day, like as much energy as I could stand, and then try to get to sleep at a decent time because I was ready to go, like
Right.
constantly, you know.
Right.
Yeah. Now, when we were talking earlier, there's pieces of information that I don't have that I just haven't had to deal with, so I didn't look up.
Right.
And I was actually really excited to hear you explain gluten because
Okay.
I see gluten everywhere, really.
Right.
Gluten-free this and that, and I'm thinking to
Right.
myself, like, I don't have a gluten allergy, so I never picked up on it. And then when
Right.
you explained it to me, I was like, wow,
Okay.
that was really cool.
Well, gluten is so, there's so many, it's so dynamic. There's celiac disease, there is gluten intolerance, there's people that just have really bad digestion, and gluten is just hard on your digestive system. So once you kind of figure out all those things, you can figure out what's affecting you. But in terms of gluten, the gluten molecule that actually is in your system, it's big. So if you have what's called a leaky gut, where maybe proteins are getting through your intestines instead of staying in there and being absorbed like nutrients, basically the big molecule can get through your gut and into your system, and your body views this big giant molecule as a virus and starts attacking it. So there have been theories that this is where a lot of autoimmune issues come from, is these big protein molecules.
See, and that takes it completely out of context of what I thought it was. I thought gluten actually was just because it was a processed food and that it was something that was put in man. I really
Yeah.
did at first because I like I said, I never had to deal with it, so I didn't look it
No,
up.
it's just the protein in wheat.
Yeah,
It's just a part of wheat. It's just bigger.
really.
Yeah,
see,
same thing. Same thing with casein and milk.
Right.
So a lot of people have trouble with milk, and if it's not raw milk, like straight from the cow, it doesn't have those enzymes that are already in there to break it down. So people that don't have that lactase enzyme to break down the lactose, it can really give them serious stomach problems.
That's very involved.
Yeah.
That's nice. So yeah, I guess the difference is obviously being she has a lot of technical information. That's really nice.
There's so much. I could talk about stuff forever,
Yeah,
but
that's-
I don't want to confuse too many people. Basically, allergies can be just symptoms of stuff that might be getting through that's really supposed to be staying here. And that kind of brings me to like probiotics and, you know, having a good healthy gut system so that you can break down the foods that you're eating.
And I don't mean to put you on the spot
Okay.
and just keep having, but
Yeah.
you were telling me about that as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, if there's something you'd like to add about keeping the good and the bad enzymes, keeping them at a neutral balance, right? So
Right,
that way there's-
basically. So if you have too much bad bacteria in your body and you go to kill it off with antibiotics or something like that, it also kills all the good bacteria. So if you're not replacing that with probiotics, then your gut really can't get the nutrients from the food that it's supposed to. If your gut is in a sick state, it just cannot, it can't process and uptake all those nutrients. That's why traditional cultures used to eat a lot of fermented foods like sauerkraut and kimchi,
Right.
and yogurts. There's lots of different kinds of probiotics that you can get that are whole food probiotics that aren't in a pill like we're used to. We think it's some foreign thing, but it's really not. It's the actual good bacteria that helps break down the food that you're eating.
And that goes right back into getting into a relationship with your food and understanding maybe how your body works more. I don't think that us as a society, as doctors are taught, I know that they don't take a lot of nutritional classes, and they don't stay up on nutrition, and they treat the illness as opposed to the source of the illness.
I think that's changing though with functional medicine. I think there's
Yeah.
more doctors that are open to looking at the nutritional aspects of why people are getting sick. So because, the pills just aren't working anymore.
Right.
And multiple
The
pills.
antibiotics aren't working.
Right,
The hand
exactly.
sanitizers are, just, I think,
Wiping
I think
it all
is-
away. We're so
yeah.
clean.
Yeah,
Our body
exactly.
doesn't even know what to do with anything.
Exactly.
It's like, what's that?
And you get your body more resistant to the viruses, or
Right.
without taking flu shots and vaccines, and you get your body resistant to being strong and to defeating these things, and then you don't have to deal with them as much. It was funny because when we were talking about the price of organic food compared to non-organic food or non-GMO food, and like I said, the price to me is what people usually bring up, and then I go through the whole box process thing. But you were talking about having doctor bills.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, right,
I mean,
on top of it.
if you think about how many times you may go to the doctor any winter, if you have 3 kids and one kid's sick, and then the next kid's sick, and then the next kid, $30 copay every time, then plus whatever medicine that you're going to need. That's good groceries right there.
So the question everybody might be asking then, have your kids been sick?
Adam did get sick. He got sick one time. He didn't feel good. He was home from school. I have some greens, stuff that I keep, like powdered greens
Like
at home.
Cholera, spirulina.
But yeah,
greens,
it has
they'll
all
say.
of that. It has like
Okay.
38 different kind of herbs and superfoods and stuff in it. But I just put that in some water and had him take that, and it has probiotics in there as well. And he said, I thought it made my stomach feel better, Mom. I'm like, okay. A couple hours later, he felt bad again, so I gave him another one, and then he actually went to the bathroom and felt much better.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, but he got all of the bad stuff out. So he got well a lot quicker. It's not that my kids don't get sick. It's just that they're not sick for weeks. I see kids being out of school for weeks at a time, not being able to kick it, and then going back for more antibiotics, and still then maybe the next month sick again. Just like a cycle that never ends. So yes, my kids still get sick,
Right.
but for not near as long.
Or severe.
Or severe, yeah,
Right.
exactly.
I've got 2 daughters, and Taylor and Rowan. They're 6 and 4, and I think it's been over a year since they've been sick.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and we keep, we don't take a multivitamin. I use food as a multivitamin. Sometimes, like when we first started, we did the whole kid vitamin and
Yeah.
omegas and stuff,
Right.
and I realized kind of putting a ton of that in there now,
Right.
and then it wasn't like a natural way of going about it. But that also leads me into why people feel hungry a lot, I think.
Right.
Because your body craves these certain nutrients. And then
Right.
people take a multivitamin because we're not eating a variety of things that we should be eating.
Right.
So then we're just setting ourselves up to fail. Your body really wants vitamin A or C or D.
We're starving.
Yeah.
We're like,
your belly's completely full and pushed to the limit
Right.
because it's trying to process stuff.
but we're completely starving.
But we're completely starving on a
nutrients.
nutrient based. Yeah, and exactly. And then that's going to lead into other illnesses. That's going to lead into chronic illness. And opinions are opinions. I believe that leads into diabetes and a lot of disease. And I have a big thing about cancer being as rampant as it is today in our society. It doesn't really make sense looking at specifically us in the U.S., what I call the SAD diet, the standard American diet. Taking that SAD diet and comparing it with other diets around the world, you find out that they don't have the rate of brain disease and dementia that we have in India because they use a lot of turmeric.
Right.
And they use a lot
Anti-inflammatory.
Exactly.
Right.
And And then you look at the cancer rate in Japan, where they stay away from red meat more, and they're not laden with that. Like,
They eat a lot of greens.
yes, they do a lot of sea greens.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
And really, I heard this described one time about green being the sun's energy, like put into like plant form or powder form. You're talking about the powdered greens?
Yeah.
It's just like powdered sun energy, you know? So you imagine how you would feel having the sun's energy, like that.
That makes me think about vitamins really quick, because if you understand how vitamins work, vitamin D, which people don't really know like why vitamin D is so important. Vitamin D you get from the sun. That is the best source of vitamin D you can get. And if you put on a lot of sunscreen, or you're not out in the sun a lot, or you live above the equator, you're not getting very much sun. And vitamin D is basically more like a hormone than it is a vitamin. It regulates everything that goes on inside of your body. So vitamin D needs the K2 to be able to do all of the other processes. So with the sunshine, vitamin D, I call it a hormone, really.
Okay.
With the K2, it allows your body to do exactly what it needs. So most people that have chronic illness or that are sick a lot are very low on vitamin D. And it's a simple blood test that you can get at your doctor's if you're having issues. I personally think nobody's vitamin D should be below 40. Ideal, maybe even up to 80. But the doctors will say, from 20 to 30 is okay, but it's not. You're severely deficient. And once people get their vitamin D up, you see that energy start to come back.
It's like a whole system, brings like everything back up.
Exactly.
That's really nice. I can't tell you how much I'm actually learning tonight. Yeah, it's really nice. So what we want to do is eat a wide range of colored vegetables and fruits. The different colors that are actually in the different fruits and vegetables bring up different minerals for us. They bring up different vitamins that are in there. That's why they're different colors.
I want to talk about minerals really quick,
Yes,
too.
please.
Okay, because your dad was talking about the soil and certain things being able to grow and not, whether it's acid or alkaline. Well, our body does the same thing. So if you have too much acidity in your body, that's where cancer thrives. That's where disease thrives. That's where all the problems begin. But if you add more alkaline foods, which are fruits, vegetables, especially greens, juices, that balances some of the acid load that you have in your body, which meats and cheeses really put a big acid load on your body. I still eat meat. I don't do dairy. It doesn't do well with me. But I try to keep it as like a 20%, 80%. So definitely more fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds and less meat, but I do feel like it's crucial for me to have it. But basically, getting back to my original point, is the acid-alkaline balance. Your body needs those minerals to buffer acids. So if you're not getting those minerals from your leafy greens, from your fruits, from your vegetables, your body has to take minerals from where? From your bones. So that's why you see Americans with so much osteoporosis, because it's actually leaching the minerals from your bones to buffer these acids. And so even though Japanese culture don't drink a lot of dairy or have a lot of calcium from cheese sources, they get a lot of calcium from the greens, and their body doesn't have to try to buffer that acidity. So it's absorbable. It's more absorbed in their system.
Now, see, she stayed on an 80-20, and I do as well. Mine is usually I stay 80% raw, 20% cooked food. So I like to do rice and beans, like as a stir fry, and then I'll throw like my raw vegetables in at the end.
Okay.
And then like right as it's done cooking, I turn the heat off and throw all the vegetables in. And then if I got a sauce or seasoning, then I put that on and kind of toss it all. So it just warms it up.
So you still have all your enzymes intact.
Exactly.
And then you don't lose all that.
118 degrees, about 115, 118 degrees is where those enzymes actually start breaking down. And then, not saying the food is not nutritious, if it's, if you're cooking and you don't want to do raw, which is completely understandable, it's an acquired thing.
You still get the vitamins.
Yes.
You just may not get all the enzymes from the food, which help get rid of the junk and give you more energy because it's alive.
And we'll get right back to that. I think we have a caller.
We do.
You go ahead. You're with the Garden Doctor.
Yes, and this is the Garden Doctor. How you doing, Christopher and Susan?
Hi, Harold.
We're doing just fine. I think we're doing a pretty good job. Are you able to watch?
No, I'm not able to watch, but believe me, there are eyes that are spying for me, and they're going to call and give me a report. And everybody up here in New Hampshire wants to say hello and to welcome Susan to the show and invite her up here anytime she wants to come to visit us in New Hampshire. We've got plenty of room up here, so everybody, everybody
you have
that's
blueberries
there is
up
welcome.
there, so I want to
Now, we have a question for you. Your great Aunt Bee wants to remind you that when I was a child, she used to have me go out and collect greens. And she believes that these greens are the reason why people in New England tend to live longer. And they are dandelion greens, milkweed greens, pigweed greens, and beet greens. And she used to have us go out and collect them. She would can just hundreds of jars of these, and we would have greens at every meal. So she wanted to make sure that you mentioned the quality and the value of greens in your conversation today. Now, also, I left a couple of videos there. They're going to try to key one up for you to give you guys a little breather so that you can catch your breath and recollect yourselves, and I really appreciate you doing this, and I'm sure that the more than capable crew there at the massive TV station at TV3 is taking care of you guys, right?
Wild.
Yes, they are taking good care of us. Actually, you hit upon greens, and that's where we were slowly making our way. I think greens are like the superfood, sea vegetables.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that's where it's at. We're going to break into that and tell everybody up there that we said hello.
And save me some blueberries.
Yeah, she's been talking about the
I
blueberries.
couldn't grow them at all.
No?
And now I know why. Cause
You can't grow them in there, but we certainly can grow them up here.
Yeah, that's
and you're welcome
awesome.
to come up and pick. We've got 14 plants in a row, 4 rows. They produce about 5 bushel.
Wow.
Ah,
I remember
Come
picking
on
them up
down.
there by David's house. Those are some
yes,
big
right
bushes.
behind Grandpa Davis. By the way, he just had a hip replacement today, just shy of his 77th birthday, and all is doing well.
Great.
Still just as young, I imagine.
Oh, yes. Wow, 77 is just getting into your stride up
Getting
here.
started.
Yeah, now you know who you are and you're settled probably.
Seriously.
I think 75
That's
is
right.
probably it, yeah.
Right.
Well,
There
tell
you
him-
go.
tell
You
him
have
that's,
longevity in your family, so you better take care of yourself now so that you can enjoy yourself later.
That's what this show's about. That's
Yes.
right. Hardy Mountain people.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, and you guys enjoy the rest of the show. And again, hello to everybody in Connorsville, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Harold.
Bye, Dad.
Bye.
All right. Well, that was nice.
Yeah.
I imagine he was going to call, and I think he was going to harass a little bit more, but
He
it
was
turned out to be
nice.
pretty nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. I can't remember what we were talking about. I think enzymes right before
Yeah,
that.
basically the enzymes
Yeah.
help clean you out.
Okay, so
Get
I
rid
think,
of the bad stuff.
I think we nailed that. And he did bring up a very good point. The greens are superfoods. They are probably your best friend as you're going to get in, even if you want to stick with however diet that you're on or whatever you're wanting to do. You want to slowly get away from processed foods. Maybe you don't feel as full, or maybe you feel maybe a little sick or a little run down. You're tired. I know the greens themselves are low glycemic, so if you're diabetic and you're really wanting to lose some weight, maybe your cholesterol is really high, and you're not sure why, and then you slowly, this happened with my grandmother actually. She came to us one day, and then she knew that we were doing things with food and we were traveling and helping people. So she asked me to come out, and she had, I don't want to give her numbers away and everything. I'm just going to say that she was borderline diabetic, had very high cholesterol, and the doctor was very concerned about her, and she needed to lose a couple pounds and this, that, and the other. She said she's been trying to do everything, and she has no idea what else to do, so she asked me and my wife to come out. And we started her on, she's also is taking Coumadin or warfarin at the time,
Okay.
so she was not able to have greens.
Right.
So it was a huge thing for us, because my initial reaction instantly is to take green powders, get you some superfoods,
Right.
some super powders, spirulina and cholera.
I've heard, though, of people being still successful with them.
and
with,
making greens.
Yes,
So
with Coumadin.
With
so.
her, really?
Yes.
With her doctor's
I realize.
permission,
Yeah.
we started without the greens, and
Okay.
we slowly started integrating anything that we could as far as juicing wise, and we were able to shave cucumbers down. We
Right.
found like
Cucumbers are
white
great.
asparagus and
Yes.
stuff to get a lot of things pumped in there. Anyway, just by doing this over a 2-month time, again, I don't want to give away her numbers or anything. I know it'd probably make it a little bit more substantial of a story, but that's a little personal. She's no longer diabetic. Her cholesterol is down the normal. I know it's right at 100. He wants it below 100. She said it's just right there, and she's been working on it. It was almost like 180, I think.
That's incredible.
It was crazy. She's lost 10 pounds. She said she no longer takes naps. She's more active, and I've noticed she's active. She's calling me all the time, actually, wanting me to come out and hang out. So it's really cool. I developed a really close relationship through food with her that I didn't really have before. And then we weren't able to use the greens and the juices to help her. But a really good friend of mine, Dave the Raw Food Trucker, he knows a lot more about the greens, the super greens and the superfoods, and he's actually reversed his cancer, his diabetes, gotten off 19 medications just by doing low glycemic green juices and being a raw vegan. So it's definitely an extreme if you are going to something like that. But at the same time, if you're in a position that is extreme, if you have diabetes, if your cholesterol is very high, if we're talking about your life, then we're talking about whatever we can do to help.
I had a friend who did the same thing. She
Really?
had ovarian cancer. She didn't have insurance, so they basically told her it was inoperable, so she was going to die.
That was it.
Yeah,
And they just let her
that's
go.
it. And they said, sorry, there's nothing we can do. So she did all the research that she could, and she also became raw vegan and juiced and did what's called the Gerson therapy. And she is 100% cancer-free now. She holds raw vegan classes. This is in Kansas City, and her name's Lovey Jane. So if she's watching somehow, hi.
If she's not, you can hit her up, and
Right.
this will be on TV3.
And she knows Dave the Raw Food Trucker
Does she
too,
really?
because he travels around. So he always likes to stay, with people
Exactly. Yeah, that's
instead
what
of
he
staying
told
in a
me
hotel.
too. He's like, I don't like hotels. I
Yeah.
like people, and
So-
it was really cool.
So he stayed.
So if you get a chance, you might look up Lovey.
Yeah, Lovey
Yes.
Jane.
Lovey James, Dave the Raw Food Trucker, and then from there you'll be able to find like a network of people, and it's really accepting and really inviting. The people that I've always talked to are always accepting. They're always wanting to talk to people. So you might think I have a couple issues and a couple things I would like to work on, and I have no idea where to start. Go on YouTube, go on the internet, start looking and asking questions. You can always, like I said, hit TV3 up. I'll be here to find emails or answer questions. That's something that I've actually done for a couple years as me and my wife travel around and talk. I like to answer. I like to help people.
Me too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know you put on a couple of, at least one march for Monsanto.
Yeah, in Kansas City in 2011. This is back when nobody knew what GMOs were. Basically, I'd be like, have you heard of GMOs? And they look at me like, what are you talking
Right.
about? And so we organized a march, and we had about 30 people there. It was freezing cold. We handed out a lot of flyers, and we talked to a lot of people. And I was really happy to see this year in 2013 through social media,
Right.
through people being able to talk through movies like Food Inc., which is my favorite. If you have never seen that, they have it at Family Video.
There you go. I believe it's still on Netflix, along with Forks Over
Probably.
Knives and
There's great
Fat,
ones.
Sick, and Nearly Dead. I think was my
That's a great
all-time
one.
favorite.
Yeah.
Because that guy actually helped the trucker.
Exactly.
Right, just like Dave was
They
helped.
juiced.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that was amazing.
It's an awesome story. So these are just normal people that were told that they had no hope, and they used food to help get better.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I think a big subject for this show is that the food that we eat is directly related to our health, to our bodies. There's not a pill that you're going to take that's going to magically cure everything without side effects and make you better. It's just not going to happen. We need to get into what's wrong, why we are ingesting what we're ingesting and what's really in it, and get down to the basics and strip away all of our thoughts and our pre-programmed ideas about like processed food and fast food and how we don't have time, and make that a priority.
And
Now-
about what's bad and what's good. I mean, in our society, we were told for the longest time, low fat is the way to go. No fat. Fat is so bad for you. Stay away.
Right.
Fat will make you fat. Half of what I eat is fat every single day.
Same here.
Every
Yes.
single day. Fat is amazing. Fat is good for your brain. We see, like you said, all this Alzheimer's. Your brain is coated with fat. Your brain cells are
That's
coated
where
with fat.
the whole omega jump
Exact-
came from, and everybody started taking
It's-
fish oil.
It's good fats. And I believe that saturated fat is also good for us, especially from sources like coconut oil, which have something called medium chain triglycerides, which I'm sure if you have ever been to GNC, they talk about MCT oil,
Yeah.
MCT. That's coconut oil. You can get it, can I say like where I get it?
Yes.
Okay, you can get it at the Little Herb Shop down here. She sells it by the big gallon, and you can take a tablespoon a day.
It
gives you instant energy.
believe in that too.
Yeah, it gives you instant energy and it makes you feel good. I actually saw a story of somebody who had Alzheimer's, and she was a nurse and she had read about the benefits of coconut oil and the medium chain triglycerides, and she started giving her husband that 1 tablespoon a day and eventually upped it because you don't want too much at once. It's different on your system.
No, it is. I use coconut oil. It replaced my cooking oil.
Right.
It replaced my
Yes.
There was like a vegan butter out there, and it just kind of got to me like having something labeled as
Right.
butter.
Right,
You
if
know
it's
what I mean?
real, it's real.
Yeah,
If
like
it's not,
so,
it's not.
And I was like, man, there's got to be something. So I found coconut oil.
Right.
And
It's great to cook with.
I use it
It's
for
great.
cooking. For popcorn,
Right.
that's actually what they use in the movies. The
Okay.
movie theaters,
Yeah.
they use coconut oil. It has
That's
a
why it
higher
tastes
burn
so
rate.
good. Yeah.
Right. So
Higher
you-
smoke point.
Exactly. So you're going to put it in, and you're able to sear. For me, I sear tofu or vegetables if I'm cooking.
Right.
But you're able to do that without burning. So I mean, it's
Tastes
actually
great with eggs too.
does it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's wonderful.
The problem with the oils too, vegetable oils, and that's another thing with processed foods, these vegetable oils, cottonseed oil, soybean oil, and everything. Well, those don't have very high smoke points. So when you cook them at a high heat, what happens? They create trans fats, and that's what they are. Even if like the label says trans fat free, they don't have to report everything. If you cook an oil past its smoke point, it's rancid. It's terrible for you, and it creates inflammation. So that's why the coconut oil is good to cook with. I cook with butter or with ghee. Those are also great because they have high smoke points. Traditional cultures always cook with lard.
Yes.
It's a saturated fat. It's stable. You're supposed to cook with it. I do love olive oil, but I like to keep it cold. I never cook with it because it has a low smoke point. So I'm going to get the best benefit from drizzling it on top of my vegetables and
And you
salting
said you
it.
had inflammation
Yes.
at one point, and you
I
were
did.
taking pills for it.
Yes.
And then you got
This
on a
was
natural kick. I
Basically,
believe. Yes.
yeah. Basically, I had sprained my ankle when I was pregnant, and I was jumping up and down in a football game for a state-winning touchdown
All right.
in Kansas City. Yeah, my brother-in-law was coaching that game, and I was so excited, and I rolled my ankle. And ever since then, I had joint pain, and it would come and go. It was like this ghost pain, very odd. And I went to the doctor, and all they could prescribe me was meloxicam, which is basically an NSAID or an anti-inflammatory, and it worked. But after I stopped taking it, after 30 days, it came back, and it would be on and off again, on and off again. So I started to do some research on why I would have this joint pain, and I didn't know, like, I didn't equate at that time anti-inflammatory to inflammation. I had no
Right.
idea what is this inflammation that they're
Right.
talking about. So I started studying about what kind of foods can reduce my inflammation, and that was the fruits and the vegetables. Herbs are great for reducing inflammation. Turmeric. So I started to incorporate most of those in my diets and get rid of processed foods. I started to feel better, and I didn't have to take the medication.
Now, did you do all this on your? I mean, you
Yes.
researched yourself, but you
Yeah.
found all this out on your own.
Yeah.
Okay, so meaning
Internet's great.
that this is the exact point of the show. She had a problem and was taking medicine for it. Didn't like spending the money. Didn't like how it made her feel. You said it upset your stomach.
Right.
Right.
And most ibuprofen, things like that, do mess with your gut.
Really?
Same with what is the heartburn medication?
Mylan or
They-
Maalox.
No, like the PPIs, the proton pump inhibitors, I don't know what.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. The
Okay,
pink stuff.
the heartburn,
Oh, yeah.
like prescription.
Protonics,
Thank you.
Nexium.
Yeah, exactly.
That just came in my brain. Like,
Nice.
yeah, it's beamed down.
But those really tear up your stomach and help get rid of your stomach acid. Most people think that when they have heartburn, they have too much acid, and so they take this medication to stop them from making acid. But acid is really crucial for your stomach, and acid helps break down things. So what people might try if they have heartburn is taking something like Bragg's organic apple cider vinegar.
Yes.
Taking a shot of that before you have a meal, and you'll be amazed at how, wow, it didn't give me any heartburn. Because really the symptoms of low stomach acid and high stomach acid are the same. So when you get prescribed all these medications to lower your stomach acid, you're actually making your situation worse, because the acid is what digests your food. Then when your food is not digested properly,
It starts to rot as it goes.
the issues come. The issues come.
Now you said Bragg's. Bragg's is it's an apple cider vinegar, and they also have almost like a soy sauce, but it's
Yeah.
amino acids.
Liquid aminos.
So when you hear about proteins and there's no protein deficiency, but when you hear about proteins and you needing proteins, what you're basically wanting is amino acids, and that's what builds protein. So you take this spray, it's Bragg's, you get it here at Kroger's.
Yeah.
And you get big bottles, you get these little spray bottles, and
I didn't know they had spray bottles.
yeah, they got little spray bottles
Sweet.
sprayed on vegetables,
I
everything.
didn't know that they had that.
Yeah, I know I know you find out something,
I'm
you're like
really
so excited. So you take that, spray it on your vegetables when you're done. So you're adding aminos, and instead of, I want the proteins. Yes, I understand. You're getting your proteins technically, but you're getting them at a level where they just absorb into the body. Where instead of having a giant piece of meat, where you spend, let's just throw a number, 100 units to burn that down, to break that down, to get to these amino acids. You break the protein down and it turns into aminos. You get the straight aminos, no units of energy spent to break that down. So you have that extra 100 units of energy, just to put a number on it, to run around. And then you get your aminos and absorbed in there, and then there you go. I don't want to make my dad too jealous. I know he was wanting to get in a small video about some sidewalks that we put in about a month ago. It was a very nice lady's house. She did a complete remodel on it. We're going to go ahead and roll that video now. When we come back, we'll do an overview of what we did, and hopefully we get some people looking at what they're eating.
Hello. I'm going to show you a few things about installing a sidewalk so that it's maintenance free. And one of the things that most people are aware is going to be a problem are weeds. Now, there is a weed blanket type stuff that is made that goes underneath that you put the stepping stones on. And I really am not a fan of that product, because it does allow weeds to come through. It's easy to tear. I use the heavy black visqueen. Now, one of the negatives to this is that if you don't remember to poke holes in it, it will puddle water. So there is no drainage that you get through this, but you will have a permanent weed blanket. Now, the sidewalk that we put in here is the half moon style. You can walk it in different directions. You can do all sorts of things with it. And I highly recommend that once this is put in, that you put a sealer on top of this concrete, because it will extend the life. It also makes it look like it's wet all the time, and it's quite beneficial. Against the building here, I want to mention something. Whenever you have a wooden structure, or as the case that you're going to see here in a moment, a wooden fence, you have to be aware of this bark mulch building up over, even stone mulch I don't like against a wooden structure. But bark mulch in particular will hold moisture. It will sometimes hide things from your view that you need to see. And I'll show you that over here on the other side. One of those things that it hides is the activity of ants and termites and things of that nature. But you just get normal rot and decay from the bark mulch being banked up, and also from the plants being on the building. So it's very, very advantageous to get the plant material away from the building or away from the fence. If you'll look down through in the back side here of these viburnums, Christopher, my son is behind the camera doing the filming for me, you can see we've taken them away from the fence and we maintain them that way. Now on the inside here, on the back, if you'll zoom in on the back there, after you get stationary, way back along the edge there, you can see some decay. And that was caused simply by the bark mulch being allowed to build up over the top. And that's very easy to do, because this bark doesn't decay and rot like the old bark used to. Now, there's something else I wanted to show you. Back up over here, Christopher. We drill the timbers and pin them with these rebar rods to prevent the timbers from sliding out. And you can see all the way down through there. We've used a 4x6 treated. When we're all done with the construction, we seal the top with the waterproofing, the same waterproofing that we use on the concrete, and then we pin them to keep them from sliding in any direction. And it's very effective. The 4x4s are all right, but they don't want to stay where you put them, and they don't give you a good edge to mow on and to be more permanent. And I definitely recommend that you seal them, even though they're penetrated, even though they're treated materials, and even though that's concrete, you still want to spend a little extra money and seal. Walk with me here, Christopher. Now you can see what we've done here is put an edge around. We laid sod. This is actually grass that we have installed. Look at the worms. They already like it. Look at how much they like it. Their root structure already started to grow out. This has only been about, 4 or 5 days. Already starting to get some hair roots coming out, which is nice. That's what we like to see. And the reason that it's constructed like this, the mower can, without doing any trimming whatsoever, put one wheel of the lawnmower, push mower, onto the bed and trim at the same time they mow when it's put in at this level here. Now you can, down here at this end, I'm having him walk with me as we're doing this, you can see that this right here was being chewed up by the probably carpenter ants, and it was buried by bark mulch, and we've pulled the fence out so that it is exposed and added a sealer to the fence that'll extend its life, and we've put in the bark mulch. But if we add bark mulch to this for a period of about maybe 4 or 5 applications, we will actually remove some of that bark mulch, because you can get an excess of the remains, and you want to get rid of some of those bones. Rake some of that stuff that's not decaying off and haul it off and get rid of it. Now, we're going to return and we will treat this one more time in the spring, the top of it. And then I recommend that it's treated about once every 7 years, 5 to 7 years, the same as with the fence, using a waterproof and a wood preservative with it. Thank you very much for watching, and I appreciate your tuning in to the Garden Doctor. Thank you. Goodbye.
Awesome. Thank you, Dad. I know he'd be really happy that we got that in there for him. And we're closing in on the last couple minutes of the show. Unfortunately, we are, because we could probably talk for a couple more hours.
Lot.
Yeah,
Way too much.
I haven't got into my craziness yet. I'm hoping that I can get another show in here before the year's over with. Maybe at the beginning of next year, and I can go into some more in-depth things. Maybe I can field some questions from the internet. If you guys have questions, post them. We can get to them on the next show. I'd like to have Suzanne back. My wife's knocking at the door trying to get in here too. Like, everybody has a lot of information to share. There's a lot that we would just like to see, people have that information. So we just do a quick overview of why we did the show tonight.
Right.
Maybe where we can get some of these things at. Maybe we can go around. I think the main thing that we've been trying to hit on, even though we've been around the board, is the processed food. Eliminating at least some of the processed food. Maybe take like the meal that you're not the happiest with, right? That you're just like, I could change this. And maybe try to buy a couple of whole vegetables. If you're doing the meat thing and everything, maybe find one meal that you can replace.
There's no faster food than whole food.
Yes.
Banana, that's about as fast as it gets.
And that's my whole, that's me to a T.
Exactly.
Like bananas in the morning, and then fruit during the day, and raw veggies, and then at night I sit down and I'll make some rice and get warm in the belly. And
it doesn't take as long of a time as you think, especially with the raw fruits and vegetables. You can grab a handful of nuts, you can grab an apple, you can grab all that stuff.
Favorite nut? What do you got?
I think almonds, of course.
Almonds?
And sunflower seeds.
Okay.
Really good.
Almonds and Brazil nuts.
Yeah, those are good.
I love Brazil nuts. They're like
good.
real crunchy. They got a good woody flavor to them.
Pecan, all of them.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. Cashews, it's random, but cashews make a really good cream.
Yeah, like the cheese. Yeah.
Yeah, they do. And we use them in like a corn soup. It makes it real creamy. Anyway, we want to go over real quick where you can find all these things.
Right. I like the little herb shop for my coconut oil. She has it in big gallons. Kroger organic section. Leslie Jacobs, the Bridgeford Farms. Bridgeford Farms, I believe. Bridgeford cheeses. And
Eli Creek?
Eli Creek Farms for all your organic vegetables and free-range meat. They also have eggs, which are delicious.
And then in Oxford, you have the Kroger out there, which they have probably a 2 or 3 times bigger section of organics, non-GMOs, non-gluten. So if you're looking for things like that, that's your Kroger section in Oxford. Directly connected with that, just right around the corner, it's in the same strip, is the Moon Co-op. And they are organic, they are gluten-free. Everything is local from there. However, they do have meat there. They have a lot of meat in the back section. So we just want to give you your information. Maybe you can stop by, check a couple of localer places out, support the local movement,
Yes.
and get yourself healthy. And we want to thank everybody for
Thank you.
tuning in. I think that'll do it for us for the evening. Thank you.
The Garden Doctor.